Alright, we jumping right into things here. This is the complete 2018 Marvel Legends Lizard Build-A-Figure. Like I mentioned in some of the previous reviews, you need every figure from this wave to complete the BAF, so that's 7 figures in total. Like I mentioned in some of the other reviews, they did kind of skimp out on some of the accessories from some of the individual figures here, but I think it was all worth it in the end because this Build-A-Figure came out very nice. You know, oftentimes we complain about the Build-A-Figures when they are a little on the small side, but I think about it as a free figure. Essentially, you purchasing 6, 7, 8 figures, and then you're going to get one for free. So even when it's a small figure, I don't always complain too much, but they definitely went a little larger this time. And, you know, this is a lot of plastic. You definitely getting a bonus for your bucks here.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey I'm fucking with them. Hype beast we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about it.
Now this is the second Marvel Legends Lizard. The first one was put out back in the day by Toy Biz, which I'll show at some point. And that figure actually still holds up as a pretty nice figure as far as the details and everything go. But he is a miniature figure in comparison to this guy here. Overall, though, I think we've gotten maybe like 5 different Lizard figures, though. We had the original Toy Biz one. We had the Spider-Man Classics Ultimate Lizard, I think it was. Marvel Select put out a couple of lizards. Then we had one, I'm not sure which company it was, but it was from like the show that came on MTV, I believe it was. So yeah, maybe like 5 different lizards so far. No question in my mind that this is one of the best, probably only rivaled by the Marvel Select version, which is okay, but it's not as articulated as this guy. They gave you a lot of plastic and a great amount of articulation for a big figure. And as always, I do have some gripes, but you know, they're pretty minor considering everything that you get here. Just taking a close look at the deco. This is his classic look with the white lab coat and the black shirt and the purple pants, and you could see that he kind of bust out of this. If you don't know this character's name, his real name is Curt Connors, and he was working on some technology to replace limbs, or for people who had lost limbs, and he was working with lizards because, you know, they can regrow or regenerate limbs, and he ended up kind of mutating himself into this beast that you see before you, and that's the story of Curt Connors. But yeah, the coat looks good. You can see that it's some doodle water here, stains at the bottom of his coat. And when I was looking at pictures of this, or looking at it at HasCon and the other places that they showed it, I was thinking that maybe there should be some more weathering and some more shading at the top of the coat, but really his coat shouldn't really be that dirty. I guess if this was a new transformation, if he just transformed and bust out of this coat, I guess maybe the whole thing shouldn't be so dirty. But I can see some people messing around with the coat and putting some more dirt and some more grime on it, but it does look good. You can see all these little holes and tattered parts, and again, like I said, it is discolored on the sleeves and at the tail end of the jacket, and the rips and everything here on the shirt, or on the chest rather, looks good. The rips on the knees, the pants look good. The pants are pretty detailed. You can see the loops to the where his belt would go, and you can see the seam there down the crotch, and all the scales and everything on him looks good. All of this texturing looks great. And you can see his tail. You can see how that is two-toned, and taking a closer look at his face. And you can see his teeth, each individual tooth, and his tongue. And this is something that you don't see from Hasbro too often, the articulated jaw. This is something that Toy Biz used to do a lot, and actually the original Toy Biz Lizard has an articulated jaw as well. And while we're looking closely at the head sculpt, this is actually where some of my issues lie. If you open his mouth and you look on the inside, they didn't bother painting the inner portion of his mouth there. So, you know, this should be pink up here too. And it's just green. That's just the back of his neck where the head actually connects to the neck. So they didn't bother painting that, for one. Two, although the jaw is articulated, the tongue is not articulated, and the jaw is kind of loose, as you can see. It's kind of hard to keep his mouth closed or put it anywhere in between fully open and closed. So the jaw is a little loose. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that the tongue can't rotate, it can't move. I wish it was maybe articulated. If they actually had a little bendy wire in this tongue, that would be great. So I think I'm gonna end up getting an additional head and maybe just removing the tongue on one of the heads, because you can pop the head off at the neck here. So it is no problem popping the head on and off. And also, I don't really know how I feel about the overall sculpt of this. My man Slings a Web was saying that the head kind of looks like a dinosaur, and it does. It looks very dinosaur-ish and less like a lizard, but then again, it still does look really good. And I guess modern lizards did evolve from dinosaurs, right? Some lizards evolved from dinosaurs and other amphibians from back in those prehistoric days. But overall, the head sculpt still is pretty decent to me. I can see them maybe reusing this or repurposing this for Sauron or Stegron or something like that. But I definitely want to get another head sculpt so I can take out this tongue. And then going over his articulation, you actually get quite a bit of articulation for this guy. You know, sometimes with the bigger figures, they kind of skimp out on some of the articulation, but he is rather well articulated. So the head will actually move on the neck here. You saw that the jaw could move. Although the tongue is not articulated, it is a soft, pliable plastic, so you can kind of mess around with it. I suppose if I put a little hot water to this and put it in another position and then put some cold water on it, it would hold that position at least for long enough for me to snap a picture or shoot a video or whatever the case may be. But aside from that, the neck moves independently of the head, so it can actually rotate here where his neck meets his, I guess, his chest and his back. But it'll rotate, and it can actually move left to right as well. So you get a decent amount of articulation in the head. I kind of wish he could maybe look up just a little bit more. But that's pretty much it there. Now the shoulders are on ball joints. They're going to come up just about that far. You can get a full 360 on the arms. You do get an upper bicep swivel. You get a double jointed elbow. You get a swivel and a hinge on the wrist, and you can actually remove these hands too. So these actually pop out if you want to pop them out. You do get a decent ab crunch. It's hindered just a little bit by the lab jacket, but you can see it can go back pretty far, and he crunches forward very far. So I guess that's kind of another one of my issues, is that he's always kind of like hunched over. You know, as we get down to the legs, you'll see what another one of my issues is that you can't really stand him too far upright. I'll show you how far upright he'll stand. Actually, you know what? Let me get into that when I do the size comparisons. But you have I guess you can consider this a T-joint here at the pelvis, and you can see those double ball pegs in there. So the legs will move back and forward, up and down, and you do actually get a thigh swivel as well. Now, there is a double jointed knee here, but you can't really utilize it because of how the knee meets the pants, I guess. So you can hinge it just a little bit. That's pretty much it on both sides. So you're not going to actually be able to extend it this way and stand him all the way upright. And that's another one of my issues. I really wish he could stand all the way upright, but he cannot. Now on the feet, you actually get a hinge, and you get a nice deep pivot, and you get a toe joint as well. So that helps to actually get him flat-footed. Now turning back around on this side, looking at his tail. The tail actually rotates here at the butt, and it articulates at one point here and one point here, left to right, and it'll rotate on all of those joints as well. Now the tail is great because it'll help him to stand up, so that's cool. Same thing on both sides as far as the arms, and like I said, you get a decent amount of articulation on this guy. It's not bad at all. And getting into a few quick size comparisons, a couple of his wave mates here. You have the Spider Punk on the left, and Spider Punk is the same buck as Pizza Spider-Man, so you can see how Spider-Man would stack up next to Lizard, and you can see how massive this guy is. This is pretty much as far upright as you'll be able to stand him. While his upper torso can extend a bit more, it is hindered by the coat. So I mean, if you were to remove the coat, I guess you could get him standing upright just a bit more, but I do really wish that the knees could bend. And on the right, you see Gwenpool there, so yeah, you can see how big this this figure is. And then here he is next to Mysterio from this same wave on the left, and then the original Toy Biz Lizard on the right. And again, you can see how massive this guy is, how much bigger he is than the original Toy Biz Lizard. And again, like I said, this Lizard is not bad. It's not terrible. One of the major issues with the Toy Biz Lizard was that he didn't have any ab articulation though. So you couldn't get him crouching as low as you can with this Lizard. But he definitely had some cool things going on. Like I said, the jaw is articulated. His tail was still articulated and had some like bendy wire in the tail. And his articulation was decent. The paint work was decent. But there's no question that Hasbro definitely topped Toy Biz here. Look how skinny he looks. This guy looks like he's hulking out. He looks massive. And really, if you were to get makeshift Kirk Connors in a coat, you can definitely get some good transformations going and some good still motion going. Just a lot of ideas and a lot of fun factor and playability with this new Lizard, no question about it. So listen, this is not a BAF you want to pass up on. This is definitely one you want to get. Like I said, if there's figures in a wave that you're not really happy with, you're still going to have to pick them up to complete this Build-A-Figure, and I think it's well worth it. This is definitely one of Hasbro's best Build-A-Figures. Get out there, find this guy. I don't think that this wave is officially out at retail yet. It showed up in the Philippines and showed up in some places in Canada, and then some people in the States were able to order it online. But I don't know what the official street date is just yet, so just sit tight. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. They should have definitely put some details on his claws, on his hands, and on his feet, and actually painted those black or something like that. So there is definitely some paint work you can do to yours when you get it to make him just that much better and a little more detail. But I do think that Hasbro did a really good job on this, and 2018 is looking very promising for Marvel Legends in terms of the Build-A-Figures and the size of the Build-A-Figures that we're going to be getting. So they kind of back to bigger BAFs, and if you don't know, there may be a Sentinel coming. So yo, check the link below. Check out my man Rectangular's channel. He always has the latest and greatest news on Marvel Legends, and he had put up a news video recently talking about that. So alright, I gotta get out of here. My girl's mad. Dinner's on the table, and I'll talk to y'all soon. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, peace.
That's crispy.